Hey everybody, Jim here from Clockwerk Industries, and I'm back with another Job Shop Short episode, and this one is badass. We got a gigantic manifold here. Try not to get my fingerprints on it, but look at the size of this thing here. So this one, a customer contacted me. He had it made elsewhere a couple times, I guess now, and it was just having leaking issues. And I'm pretty sure I know why. When you're doing a manifold this big, I shared a trick on Instagram the other day when I was like last week when I was making it. We're going through my pictures or whatever, but when you have a piece of material this big and it's made of acrylic, acrylic is not guaranteed to be from the factory like accurate to 1/1000th of an inch all the way across the surface. You have to buy mil spec acrylic for that, and a 12 by 12 1/8 inch piece of mil spec acrylic is about $65–70. So that's normally about $6.99 from a good low price acrylic vendor. So it's super expensive. If you wanted something for a manifold, you're talking probably like $1,000 of material costs alone, you know, and I made it for less than half that. So what you have to do is, these things can vary from anywhere between a couple thousandths all the way across to, I think this one was off by about 10 thousandths. So if I set my O-ring channel depth down to, you know, I set it about 0.075 inch depth. I cut with a 3/32 cutter, and I use 3/32 O-ring stock. I also use a ball nose cutter. It provides a ton of contact all the way around the edge of the O-ring, so you get ultimate contact instead of being flat and trying to push it into corners. Also, the ball nose makes nice rounded smooth corners, and the O-ring stock fits right in there nice and snug, and it sticks up above the material about 25 thousandths because it comes in a little over 3/32, by like 5 thousandths or so. This one's about dead on, this O-ring, actually I measured it. But basically, it fits into the channel perfectly, and it compresses, and you get a nice flat seal. You'll know your O-ring is not leaking when you have when it's smashed. When you can see that O-ring is visibly pancaked in there, you know it's a tight seal, and you can see it like that on both sides of the manifold. It's hard to tell when you have like an opaque base. Like one I'm doing, one of the other manifolds I'm doing has a white cover piece. It's actually inverted where the base is going to be on top and the cover's on the bottom. But the cover's white, so I'm not gonna be able to see on that side, but I'll know a good visual to the other side if the O-ring has a tight seal. And plus, I also air test. I just picked up a steel or brass version of a Dr. Drip, basically. I have to make a couple fitting adapters on it, but it's gonna be far more reliable than the Delrin version. It won't get stripped out. But I air test all these because air test is so much more reliable than water testing, because it'll get the pinhole leaks, the stuff that could leak with water after about 6 months of operation, you know, very small holes. But yeah, so what I ended up having to do was, you basically zero off in one corner with your 3/32 or with your whatever O-ring or what, you know, there's multiple different ways you could do O-rings. I mean, you could do real small ones up to even larger ones. It's all up to you and how you want to, your specifications you feel comfortable working with. I have some that I've used for a couple years. I've only had one manifold ever leak, and it was like the second or third one I did, and it was huge. It was almost 2 foot by 2 foot, and you know, I've learned a lot about them since then, and different shortcuts, different ways I can do things, and some reliable tried and true specifications for O-ring depth, O-ring thickness, all that kind of stuff. Channel depth, how much I want to tap to, you know, thickness for the fittings to go in so it doesn't splinter. And then you can modify those and make adjustments to them when you're working with limited space, but I always advise against it, and it's easier to just stay within the specifications that I make. So that's why I like to have people do mock-ups if they can't get a 3D model, because a mock-up's gonna give you a reliable example of what it could look like inside your case, and then you don't have to guess what it'll be like drawing it on paper. You'll get to physically see it in your case and know if it's gonna fit or not. But what I did was I zero off in a corner, and then once I have the CNC upgrade and I have a probe, I won't have to do this. I can do Z mapping like you do on a 3D printer, and it'll touch off every 1.5 or 2 inches all the way around the plate, and then it'll make a 3D map of the adjustments and fluctuations, and then auto adjust that as it's cutting. But that's a little ways off. Hopefully in the springtime, I'll have that set up. But either way, what I do for now, zero off in one corner, and then I go to like, I probably pick about between 5 and 10 other spots and zero off at those areas. Well, I don't zero off. I just go and I test them. I use the shim stock. I have a 1,000th thick stainless steel shim stock, and I just go around and I test all the different spots. And as long as I'm within about 1,000th or two in all those areas, I know that it's going to leave me a relatively even enough channel depth all the way around the whole big, large manifold. I just use pieces of paper. A piece of paper is about 4 thousandths thick, so it's pretty reliable when it comes to shimming. And it'll pancake out a little bit, you know, like to make up the difference in 10 thousandths in the one area. I think I had to use 3 or 4 pieces of paper because once they sandwich down, it can be compressed a little bit under there. And sometimes the thickness of the material is, sometimes it's not even the thickness of the material, it's that the material is actually bowing. By clamping and tightening down on each side, it'll lift it up inside the middle of the material, and then you can actually get the part really far off that way. Sometimes that could be off by even upwards of 20 thousandths. So what ends up being better is to shim the ends, or shim around the ends, and then you tighten down in the middle, and it'll kind of even it out and flatten out that bowing. But I'm gonna do a couple more close-ups of this while I wrap up talking here. But yeah, this one came out really well. No leaks, really long, cool looking channels. I think there's a couple holes for some cables possibly. Yeah, I'm just, there's also a slot up here in the top. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that's for an LED strip. I'm assuming so. It kind of looks like what it would be for. And I'm assuming these corner pockets are for some parvum cubes or something like that. So overall, this was a really cool project. I have a ton of manifolds I'm working on right now, and there should be upcoming about 4 more videos coming up for different manifold projects I'm working on. All right, so I wanted to wrap up this video. Somehow the end of the clip that I was doing got cut off. I don't know if battery died or something happened during filming, but I just wanted to wrap up the video and tell you guys thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next podcast. So I was officially approved for financing for the Tormach 770M. It's going to be a gigantic change to everything going on here, from processing times, like web orders. Those most items will be instantaneous shipping. If it's ordered early enough, it'll ship the same day, almost guaranteed. Custom orders, I'll be able to take more custom orders and turn them around so much faster, because the CNC router will never have time where I have to stop, clear it all off, switch over to cutting aluminum, destroy the spoil boards with cutting fluid. None of that's going down anymore. And also, I'll never be interrupted to do production orders to get my parts over to Mainframe Customs, because I can run it non-stop. Last year, I spent the whole year trying to stay caught up with my website and Mainframe Customs on aluminum parts, and I wasn't able to take nearly as many custom orders as I should have been able to. So it's going to be a whole new ball game over here, and it should let me get to the point where by the end of this year I should be able to add on to the shop and start looking to get my first industrial machine, whether it be another mill, or I really would love to get a Datron. I mean, that would be the pinnacle of everything. So we'll see what happens. All I know for now is I'm going to be able to simultaneously use all 3 of my machines, and 2 of them can be running non-stop making production parts, and 1 of them can be dedicated to custom orders. So it's going to really ramp things up big time. And you know, my goal is to be able to start working less hours. I mean, it's funny, like you know, a handful of people will be like, "Oh man, I'm jealous." Well, if you knew the amount of hours every day of the week for how many years I've been doing this, yeah, a lot of people would nope out right away. I mean, it was a grind. There's a lot of points in time, and I'm gonna get into some of the stuff on the podcast where it's like, I start thinking about going back to being an engineer at Parker Hannifin, like, oh my God, that would be so much easier, but it wouldn't nearly be as fun or rewarding or fulfilling. So, and this also wouldn't be possible without all you guys enjoying these products, believing in the work, and the line is like, it would be wrapped around the building for custom orders right now, and I can't thank you guys enough, because without that I can't even do this. So thank you guys for following along, and definitely more videos to come. Please like, subscribe, and share, and see you guys in the next video or podcast. Later.